And we are live. What is going on, DMV deal makers and community leaders? We have a really awesome guest here. I hope everyone is stoked. I hope everyone's got their viewing glasses on. But today we got a really awesome guest. We got Lledon Stokes. I'm really stoked to interview her. So not only is she a awesome entrepreneur, a real estate agent, but she's also someone who's extremely active in the community and active in her building her community, right? So she volunteers in the Habitat for Humanity chapters here in the DC area. She's the president of the National Business League, the DC chapter, which is something that was actually founded by Booker T. Washington, fun fact. And we'll definitely want to talk a little bit about that. And she's also the first vice president of the DMV Women's Council of the NARB. So that's National, and correct me if I'm wrong, National Association of Real Estate Brokers.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do a little dive into that. And obviously you're really involved in volunteering and building your community here. So, you know, it's a huge treat to do an interview with someone. Clearly you've got a big heart for your community, and, you know, you're trying to do a lot of contributing activities. So let's give it up for Lledon.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I love DMV Dealmakers. I follow you guys. So I'm very flattered to be on and be talking to everybody in the community, all the movers and shakers in real estate here in the DC local. So thank you, John.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so, you know, definitely thanks for, you know, taking the time out on a Saturday. I know a lot of people like to go vacationing and stuff like that on the weekends or hang out with friends, but here in the real estate community,
that's right.
No such thing as weekends, right?
Later on today, I'm showing you like 7 houses. So.
Oh man, okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Are you they're for buyers or?
Buyers.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, let's kind of do a quick, I guess, learn a little bit about you. Like, how did you get into real estate, or how did you get to just where you are? Just a quick summary. I know there can be a lot of nuances and backstories, but what's kind of like that big picture there?
To sum it up, I am not from DC. I am not from the DMV. I am a transplant, like many people who are here. I am from Florida, and I started my real estate career in Florida.
Awesome. We're in Florida, by the way.
I am from Tampa Bay, Florida, which is actually where NARB was founded back in 1997, surprisingly enough. And I was like, it makes sense for me to join this organization because of the alignment, the synergy. And we can get into NARB, but I started my real estate career in Florida, and I was visiting here. And I also have a military background. When I was 17, I joined the Army Reserve.
Oh, wow.
So I had some Army friends here. I was visiting, and I was like looking around, and I was like, oh my God, like this is like night and day from everything that I know. So I'm like, it just makes sense for me to just show up here and just do what I was gonna do in Florida, but do it here. It's just a whole different, as you know, there's a whole different community here, a whole different tribe. So I hit the ground and I flew up, got my Maryland real estate license, started working with a property management company that was also a developer. I did mixed use, commercial, residential property management for a while I was still getting ready to learn like the DMV area. And then I quickly got licensed for DC and Virginia and just kept pushing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you say you moved here because of the Army Reserve?
No, I had friends here that were in the military. You know, this is a military community.
Yeah, right.
And I was visiting, and I'm looking around, and I was like,
you just decided to like it and decided to move here.
I went back home, made a 90-day plan, wrote it on my wall, and was like, all right, I'm out.
That's awesome. I like that. You're someone who is really decisive and knows what she wants.
You have to be, especially in real estate. I'm gonna charge my phone because I just realized it's dying, and I don't want to die. Well, I don't want to die on people on Instagram. I'm gonna just do that super quick. There you go. But yeah, in real estate, you have to be decisive.
For sure.
Like, you know that. You're an investor.
Sure, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Wow, so Army Reserve, how is that something you go in for training, say once a month, or how does that work?
Yes, when I was in, we did drill weekends once a month. You go to basic training, you go to MOS school. So you're basically just waiting, you're a soldier waiting on standby.
Right, right.
Everybody else does, and then you just stay up to date until they're ready to activate you.
So you're a tough girl then.
Yeah.
Don't mess with her.
Actually just left the gun range. So yeah.
That's awesome. So why real estate though? Like, how did you become an agent? What was kind of what led you to that? Because here's the thing: when it comes to real estate or a lot of agents, it's not always the case, but this is something I've noticed. It's oftentimes like a secondary career, right? Someone used to be an engineer, they used to be an accountant, and somehow they stumbled across some sort of seminar or something, and all of a sudden they decided to do real estate, right? Is that how? Is that your story, or like did you choose real estate from the very beginning?
I actually was talking about this the other day. I'm like, this is my first full career.
Really?
Like, something that I plan on doing even as a grandma. I'm gonna die doing real estate. Like I love real estate. My background is super diverse. I've been in sales for like 12 years. So I've done all different kinds of sales outside of the military. And in the military, my background was with Intel. So I was in intelligence. But I worked at like a high-end car dealership for 3 years. I like to crack a joke because I'm Caribbean. I'm half Jamaican.
Okay.
Jamaicans have multiple jobs, so I have multiple jobs.
Hustlers. They're hustlers for sure. There's I know it's a lot of Jamaicans in the area. They tend to be, hard hustling wholesalers or agents. There's a lot of them. Of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Push weight. I'm half Persian and half Jamaican, so it was just in my blood. Especially being like a Florida Caribbean, I'm like, I need like 5 jobs. Like if you have 3, like you're lazy. Like you need to have a lot of jobs. So I did a lot of different things. I did sales. I used to be a spokesmodel on Home Shopping Network for 6 years.
Really?
I would sell
what products were you selling?
Beauty products, mostly no hair removal. So there's tons of infomercials of me with no hair removal.
All right, we gotta look these up. You also said high-end car sales. Mm-hmm. Like, are we talking like BMW, Mercedes, or are we talking like Italian?
Not that. Rolls Royce, Bentley, Aston Martin, McLaren.
Really?
Yeah. And I started as the receptionist there as part-time job while I was in college, and then worked my way up.
Wow. So you're going around sitting in Bentleys and high-end stuff all day. That's awesome.
Like 18 years old.
Badass. Okay. So obviously sales is in your blood. Being some sort of spokesmodel, or being I guess the common word nowadays is like influencer, right? Just being an influencer or some sort of speaker in a community. And just kind of having that background in sales, obviously, real estate is, not too far from that, right? What kind of led you to that transition into like specifically real estate?
So it was multifaceted. I was like, okay, I've done great in smaller sales, and I wanted to challenge myself. And I've always had an interest in real estate. And one thing that I discovered when I was working at the dealership, especially because we sold such high ticket cars, there was people coming in buying some of these cars cash. And I was like, what? Like, how are you doing this?
I see where this is going.
So I was asking different questions, I'm like, I'm sorry to be rude, but like, what are we doing here? Like I'm like 18, 19 years old. So I'm like, what's going on here? And there was an underlying consecutive tone that involved real estate, whether someone owned commercial buildings, a restaurant, it was all real estate, gas stations, all of it. So I asked for book recommendations. One of the first couple books was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And of course, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And once I got my paws on Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I ordered like 5 more of his books. I read that book in 4 days. Like, it was like game over. So I studied real estate and had my eye on it, and then just jumped right into it. I was also doing home health care because when I was in college, I was studying nursing with the plans to become a doctor. So I was strategic in regards to that. Everything to me is about strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like real estate is all about strategy.
Sure.
A lot of my colleagues, I joke because I call real estate strategic warfare. So I'm like, it's strategic warfare, and even more so, it's guerrilla warfare, because it's small, compact, battles that you have to do, and each deal is different. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that actually reminds me of that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where I don't remember the guy's name. The chubbier guy. I think he runs into Jordan. You've seen the movie, right? Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, yeah. So he runs into Jordan Belfort at the diner, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a nice car. I'm just kind of curious. What do you do? We live in the same building." It's like, what does he say? Like something to do with stocks or something? And he asks him, how much money he makes, and he's like, "Oh, I think I made 73,000."
And he said, "You can show me a pay stub that says 79,000 right now. I'm gonna call my job and I'm quit."
And the next scene, he's calling his wife, "Hey, Paulie, yeah, no, everything's fine. Hey, listen, I quit." It's a great scene. Yeah. No, I've actually heard many versions of that story. Whether they were working in accounting or something and noticed huge, big clients and realized they're all in real estate. But yeah, no, that's awesome. You actually took action, and it's interesting the way you asked them for a book recommendation rather than ask them, "Hey, what do I do?" Right? Because I think the very first question most people would ask at a limited paradigm is, "Oh, what are the steps? What do I do?" When really, although those steps are important, that information isn't that big of a deal because it's all over the internet, it's in books and everything. The first thing you seeked for was, what was the mindset? Like, what books do I need to be thinking like that, right? So that's really awesome, and at a pretty young age too.
Thank you. I like to tell kids, especially like I'm first generation American. My dad was deported when I was like 14, I think.
You said deported?
Yeah, he was deported back to Jamaica.
Oh.
Sometimes when you're in America and you don't do positive things, you have to leave. So that's what happened. So I didn't have, like, outside of my grandmother, I didn't have a lot of counsel around. And when I was little, I used to love going to the library. So books, if any kid or anybody feels like they don't have a mentor, you don't have resources, you always have access to knowledge. And my grandma used to drill into me that once you obtain something, no one can take it away from you. So I have tons of books in my living room. I'm a book nerd. I love books. And I feel like books are the gateway, and they'll take you across the world. And that started my real estate kind of black hole of all of the books that
a positive black hole. It's a good black hole. Let's call it a vortex gateway to abundance.
My vortex gateway.
Awesome. No, I completely agree with you when it comes to books. What's interesting about me is I didn't really realize this until pretty recently, but I probably have like very mild dyslexia, which is probably why I never liked reading when I was younger. So when I was in school, I didn't do that great in English class because I just hated reading all these books, right? But it's not until, I guess, the past 10 years where like YouTube really became a thing. And I think this is a huge gift for our generation right now, because say you don't like reading text on a book, you now have audiobooks. You now have, YouTube University. And because all these influencers are trying to build a following, they actually have to put out like real value on these videos. Otherwise they wouldn't get followers or views, right? So as a byproduct, we now have like these massive channel for learning and having quote unquote mentors, right? Like you can't be mentored by Warren Buffett or Bill Gates directly. But, the next best thing is probably watching a video from them, right? Or reading a book that they wrote or about them, right? And even though the book may not say necessarily step 1, step 2, step 3, what you should do, but it gives you an idea of a framework of who that person is. How does he think? Like, how does he carry himself? Like, especially in a video, you can really pick up nuances when you watch a certain influencer. Like, say you like to watch, Tai Lopez or Grant Cardone. You start to understand who that person is in a way, and you start to realize why he's successful and why he says certain things, why he does things a certain way, right? It's because of efficiency or setting up relationships or whatever it is, right? And you start really embodying that just from watching videos of just them speaking. They don't have to be necessarily doing like a lecture on, building a business, but you start picking up things just in their day-to-day life, So I think that's definitely a huge gift our generation has.
I agree. There's no excuses for anyone not to win. The only thing you need is the work ethic. Execute. That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the one downside about all this content out there now is there's just so much content. And I feel like it's important to have a strategy as well, right? You have a goal, but to bridge where you are from right now to that goal is like, that bridge is the actual strategy, right? So you do kind of need like step A, B, and C, but you got to be clear exactly where it is and where you are now.
I agree.
And the downfall when it comes to all this content is they're made so well to grab your attention, where you watch a certain video, you kind of go down this YouTube rabbit hole. And I don't really watch YouTube anymore, but a couple of years ago, you just kind of go down this rabbit hole, right? You watch this one video about success, and you watch this video about, building confidence, and you watch this one video about real estate wholesaling, and before you know it, like you've spent your whole day like watching content.
Yeah.
And although the content is true, it's one piece of a strategy, and that's kind of the issue behind it. So yeah, I think it is important having like a specific mentor to kind of put it all together, have a roadmap for you. So I'm kind of curious, did you have like a certain, like a mentor, like an in-person mentor, or maybe quote unquote a digital influencer mentor that?
No,
just kind of figure it out.
I would say from all of my research, especially in our real estate world and people who are interested in it, we hear often analysis paralysis, because people love feeling the emotions that are involved with being affiliated with whatever their goal is.
Yeah.
And me, I actually I don't have a lot of patience, if I'm going to be honest with myself. So I was like, okay, when I move to DC, I'm gonna kick the brakes off. That's a Florida term. We're gonna say all gas, no brakes. So I just went full throttle, and I analyzed it. I said, I don't know anyone here. I only knew one person. So I'm like, all right, real estate, I need to know people, right? I need to it's a numbers game. I need to know as many people as possible. So I meditated, and I was like, who really puts themselves out there to meet people? And I said, politicians. That's super DC. I was never into politics or anything, but they go on a campaign trail. And so then I thought about what really meant a lot to me. And then I started doing research to find out, what kind of circles, what kind of campaign trail, what kind of message do I want? And then I started doing it. We have a mutual friend, Josh. He recommended to me a couple years ago one of my favorite books, Emerging Markets. I talk about it all the time. I love Emerging Markets by David Lindoff. And I actually have met him at one of the events that I was going to. When I first moved here, I went to like 14 networking events a week. And I was just like, I need to meet people. I need to, and I picked up mentors in that process. But also with respect to mentors, I know that they're busy people. We all put these bricks together, so I don't expect to have their time. So that's why I like asking for book recommendations, because that's what helped them towards their path to success. And a lot of people want time for mentors, or they feel offended that people don't have time, but I don't even watch television. I don't have time to watch television. Everything has to be applied towards the mission. And I respect that, because I'm like, you know what, they're probably doing the same thing. So I've had a couple of different mentors where like I can use the sounding boards, but ultimately it was like my own journey that I pieced things together because success leaves clues.
Gotcha, 100%. So one thing, comment I want to throw in there about mentors is people often have this idea of a mentor as someone that, you know, you're calling every day, asking them like little questions here and there. I think very rarely does that happen. I think for most people, when they have a mentor, it is just someone you may even just talk to maybe just once a month or maybe even just once a year, right? But the thing is, they are, you know, quote unquote, so successful, or they're just kind of operating in a certain paradigm where just a single conversation with them, you start understanding who they are and you start kind of embodying like what they're trying to say, right? It's almost like a part of them becomes a part of you. And even when they're not around, you subconsciously start thinking, oh, what would this person do? Or what would this person say? You kind of become them in a way, you know?
I have a joke where I say I hunt mentors. Like, I have so many that specialize in different things. I'm like, ooh, let me call Dr. Like one of my main mentors with the National Business League is Dr. Harris. And I'm like, let me call Dr. Harris. Let me call Dr. Harris. What would he say? You know? And he's a game changer, like with my career, with my life, with counsel. Like he gave me a stack of books and, you know, like it's a whole game changer.
You said this is someone in NARB?
Actually, in the National Business League.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay, the National Business League. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Harris is the international president and CEO of the National Business League.
Gotcha. Why don't we talk a little bit about that? For people here watching who may not know what that is, that's the National Business League, part of the DC chapter, and that was founded by Booker T. Washington, actually, which is really, really cool that it's still around and alive. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, what it is or what that mission is?
Of course. So the National Business League is the oldest Black business organization to date. So if you see any, and I mean any organization that is like minority focused, Black business focused, it was birthed through the National Business League. It was formerly known as the National Negro League. And many people do know about Booker T. Washington. He is the first freed slave who became an entrepreneur, a millionaire, part of the circuit with Madam C.J. Walker, W.E. Du Bois, all of that historic lineage of Black economic power. So, so yes, I am very honored to be able to be one of the youngest leaders in the organization walking in that historic footsteps. We focus solely on commerce-driven activities. And one of the initiatives is the Opportunity Zone Initiative. I would say last year, one of my favorite experiences was getting a formal invitation to the White House to go.
Wow.
Yeah. To like discuss the Opportunity Zone and us partnering with different government agencies. And one of the initiatives that I've been focusing on lately on behalf of the organization is partnership with Africa. So we've connected with the African Union, and I recently have received the news that I am the House delegate for real estate in Ghana. So the AU has purchased acres of land in Ghana, and they are doing developments for anyone who's international. You know, like if you're a U.S. citizen, you can't buy. If you're a foreigner in that country, you can't buy land. You have to do like really long-term leases. It's a great opportunity for people to purchase land in Africa and buy a house. So that's cool. That started here.
That's really cool. How'd you get involved with that?
Funny. So all these networking events. I was invited a couple years ago to like this. It was around holiday time, like a Black boards dinner. So there was like heads of like the historic Black banks and real estate initiatives and all those different things. And I was sitting at a dinner table, and there was a bunch of people in there. It's probably about maybe 40 people in this dinner, like at some restaurant in DC. I still don't even know which one it was, but a restaurant in DC. So everybody was talking, and anyone who knows me, I'm super authentic. Like, I don't hide how I feel. And they were talking about, actually, the national director, Antoine Thompson, was talking about Black real estate and Black homeownership. And they were saying, oh, you know, numbers are behind and blah, blah, blah. And so we're having dinner. I had a glass of wine and I got irritated. And I raised my hand and I was like, can I say something? Like, you know, can I speak? I know y'all don't know me, but can I speak? And I was like, I know I'm gonna ruffle some of y'all's feathers right now, but all of this coulda, shoulda, woulda, kumbaya nonsense sounds good. And I said, I'm a real estate agent and I'm in the trenches day in and day out with the community, okay? And what people need is knowledge. They need their handheld. You can't do better if you don't know better. You can't do better if you don't have representation. Mm-hmm. I don't remember all of the organizations that were there, but I was like, what in the next 60 days do any of y'all in your organizations have on the ballot in order to get connected in the trenches with people? Our community. I'm like, you sit here, we're in an ivory tower. You've been owned houses. You've gone to Ivy League schools. We complain about our community, but they don't know. They need resources. They need knowledge. So how about that? I don't want to sit here and enjoy a dinner and we're just complaining about how people need to do better without giving them the tools to do better. If you give the tools, you provide them, you put them out there, and they don't pick it up, that's on them. But put them out there. Have them out there. I'm like, these are historic organizations that you guys are representing. You have the weight, you have the institution covering you. Go out into the trenches and connect and teach people. And then I sat down and I was like, whatever, you know, I set my wine and I started eating my chicken again. And then my now mentor was sitting across from me at that table and he was like, young lady, who are you? And I was like, my name's Lledon. I just had to get that off my chest. And then afterwards, a bunch of people came to talk to me and he lived in Detroit at the time. And he came back to visit. He was like, well, I want us to connect when I come back. So when he came back in town, he called me, you know, like, hey, you're available. And he called me Madam President. And I was like, he's crazy. Why is he calling me Madam President? And that's when he was like, look, we need to breathe new life into the organization. We need to get connected with the younger generation. He's like, will you please be our fierce leader and be Madam President to help recharter the organization and connect the old guard to the younger community. So that's how that happened.
Wow, that's really cool. What kind of stuff are they doing here in DC though?
So we have a few different pillars that we focus on. Everything's commons-driven activities. So we focus on skilled trade sets, real estate, education, one of the largest databases internationally of Black business, opening trade routes between the diaspora, African Americans, so that way Black business owners can source, you know, direct supply sourcing. A prison re-entry program initiative for formerly incarcerated individuals to get into entrepreneurship. Even new connection across the board completely for everybody to tap in.
Is there a lot of ex-incarcerated people starting businesses? Like, is there a trend in that?
Well, historically, formerly incarcerated people, they don't get a lot of opportunity. They're stripped of rights once they've been incarcerated and can't really get a job. You know, you don't background check. So yeah, a lot of them do turn towards entrepreneurship. Gotcha.
No, that's awesome. Because, you know, when it comes to starting a business, you know, it's just kind of all on you, right? It doesn't really matter what your background is. If you can create some sort of results, then, you know, you did it. Yeah. That's great. Okay. So, what about the DMV Women's Council of NARB?
So that's an honor.
Okay.
NARB is the Historically Black Realtors Association. At one point, back in my hometown of Tampa, Florida, it was founded because at one point, African American real estate professionals were not allowed to join the National Association of Realtors, which is the law. Yeah, we were not allowed to be a part of the organization. So they created their own. And instead of being called realtors, we're called realtists. Now, of course, fast forward, we're on both sides of the board, but the NARB historically has had advocacy for redlining with Dr. Martin Luther King. They've done a lot of policy advocacy. Their main mission is democracy and housing. So it's open to anyone who supports the mission of democracy and housing. There's a lot of advocacy at the Hill. One of our favorite times here in the DC area, especially me moving here, I had nothing about being a Floridian, I knew nothing about it, was the Congressional Black Caucus. I was like, what is this? So during the Congressional Black Caucus, we have a huge event called the State of Black Housing in America. And it's massive. Last year, we had Waka Flocka speak on a panel because now he's a real estate investor. And that's just what we do. We focus on education. We have a new initiative called House Before the Car, because millennials are a larger demographic than baby boomers, but yet they're not buying houses. So we like to connect and show millennials, hey, homeownership is the route to go. It's a route towards wealth. Because, you know, the average renter has less than $5,000 worth of wealth, and the average homeowner, what is it, $117,000 worth of wealth? Something, right? Don't quote me on that. I just know it's 6 figs. We'll have to look it up. We'll have to Google it. But that's what we do with NARB and the greater part of it. And then the Women's Council, I'm the first vice president for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. What we do is a lot of the grassroots, really in the community type things with like churches, home buying seminars, those sorts of things. We do a lot of fundraising, and we do fundraising to help give out scholarships, not just scholarships for education, but also scholarships for trade. So even if you wanted to become a real estate agent, you don't have to be in real estate in order to join our organization. You just have to support democracy and housing. And you don't have to be Black. We're open to everybody. Just support democracy and housing, because we all need to win. We've all had a struggle at some point. That's it. It's all about peace, love, and light, and focus on the mission. And in any of these, one of my favorite things in all of these organizations that I'm affiliated with is I love that it's all without ego. It's all just about love and purpose, and abolishing these barriers that so many have had, and evening out the playing field, you know, and educating. Like, hey, you can trust me. I've been there, you know, and I'm going to guide you along the way. So.
For sure. What do you think your kind of big mission is? Because it seems like you're, you know, obviously very much involved with, you know, the Black community here, and when it comes to educating certain areas and entrepreneurship and, you know, disadvantaged areas, what do you think your overall mission is? Everybody to win. If I were to speak up, I didn't know any of these things. I didn't have any representation, or like the way I grew up, this was all new to me, you know, and it blew my mind and really changed my life. Like, real estate has changed my life. Pouring into the community, I'm emotional about it. I think I cry at every single one of my clients' closings. And I tell them at the beginning because I'm just so proud, and I'm just so happy for them to start that journey of what it could really mean for them. And I like to try to help them if they don't even understand what being a homeowner can do for their life, their family, their loved ones, you know? So I try to like let that be known, but I get emotional because it's like my babies are you made a big step. Yeah, I'm like, you guys are flying the coop. It's so cute. So I'm proud of them, and yeah. So that's what it is. I guess I do have a big heart, even though I'm a little bit tough. I like to be tough, but I am a softie, so I have a big heart, and I want just everybody who is an underdog to know that they can be powerful. You're not a definition. You're not defined by your history. You're not defined by your circumstances. You're not defined by your family. I have faced a lot of adversity in my short years, and that has always been my underlying tone. I'm not defined by this. I know who I am in my heart. I know who I am, how I feel.
So why can't I live that kind of life, and why can't I be that person? There's literally no reason why I can't. So I'm going to. And I want everybody else to feel that way too. We don't have shackles. We don't have boundaries. We can do any and everything that we want to do.
100%. It's an amazing message. So here in DC, you know, obviously there's a huge Black community. Would you say there's, you know, big progress when it comes to empowering these communities? Because I know there's a school of thought that as some of these neighborhoods gentrify, the old generation are literally just being kicked out to a different area, right? Because some of these areas are just completely unaffordable for some of these families. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's about perspective, because gentrification is a shift in economics. And I think the public doesn't understand that you can gentrify your own neighborhood. You buy your own neighborhood while it's affordable. Us being in real estate, you being an investor, we know that these neighborhoods that people are getting kicked out of are the ones that are still at a great price point for them to be able to buy now. I have a video out on YouTube where I actually kind of break this down, talking about the different pockets here in DC that are shifting, that are still affordable. So for example, like Southern PG County, Northeast DC, Southeast DC, those are still at great affordable price points. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who lives in near Howard University, and he bought his house back in 2005 for $250,000. His neighbor right next door just sold their house for $1.3 million.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Street, Northwest, that community. Probably about 6 years ago, you could buy a row house for below $300,000. Now you find 1-bedroom condos over there for $500,000. A 1-bedroom condo. This is less than 5 to 6 years. That's not a long time. You know, that's not a long time. So I think the way to shift that, instead of being in a scarcity mindset, get in a take action mindset. Find out what disciplines, what key principles that you need in the next 6 months to 12 months to get you in a position to secure equity in your current community. We know that there's a lot of flippers moving weight in, you know, the Southern PG County area. They're renovating these houses, these ran down houses, acquiring them for less than $180,000, putting them back on the market for $350.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the thing, and $350 is still affordable for our community. So buy these houses, secure your equity, buy the land, you control the plan. That's it. That's my little hashtag. Buy the land, control the plan.
I like that.
If you own it, you know what I mean? So that's what I feel. Nobody's getting kicked out of anywhere. You're allowing yourself to get bullied. And I don't believe in a victim mentality. I believe in an activist mentality. I think that I'm a real estate activist. So get disciplined, get your FICO score where it needs to be. COVID has changed the game. We have interest rates at an all-time low. All-time low, okay?
It's like 2-point-something%.
Pardon?
Like 2-point-something%.
Yes, people are getting finance below 3.7%. All of my clients this year have been below 3.7%.
It's wild. Okay?
Like, if you're not getting this money, if you're not getting this equity, if you're not buying this house, you know what I mean? You really don't own it. That's, you know what that's it. Figure out what you need to do. Pay off whatever debts you need to do. Have a good payment history, even if it's $10 on whatever debt that you owe. Start doing and asking the questions and being disciplined and having your priorities in order for the long-term gain. This is not about immediate satisfaction. You need delayed satisfaction for a greater good. The thing that I look at is, do you care about yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you love your family? Do you want to have a dynasty? Do you want, like, people keep talking about generational wealth, like it's just this sexy trend right now. No, breathe it, be about it, live it, educate your family on those principles, groom the children, get that cash flow game by Robert Kiyosaki and teach these kids how to balance a damn checkbook. Like, you know what I mean? Like, work it out. Like these resources are here. So that's my
100%.
my MO. I'm actually working on a e-course that's very affordable. It's from less than $40, where I'm going to run down from A to Z how to prepare for home ownership. And then at the end, when you get your graduate certificate, I have different vendors that are going to honor it and give you discounts.
I love it. I was actually going to ask you if you're going to come out with some sort of digital product or something like that. I just kind of randomly thought of that question, but
I'm actually working on it now and really hard because I want to launch it on my birthday next month, August 24th. So everybody can just sign up for my e-course, learn. And I'm not just talking about like the home buying process, what you need to do to get ready to buy a house, what different assets, if you have a 401k, if you have a life insurance policy, like all these different things that you can use as tools in order to help you buy a house.
I love how passionate you are about this.
Yeah, I get a little worked up. I'm not gonna lie. I am passionate about it. I love it. It feeds my soul, and I get frustrated when people, don't want to help themselves. But we can't force everybody to do it. I'm gonna keep sharing my message, and I'm gonna keep saying what I'm saying. And whenever you're ready to listen or ready to take action, just let me know, because I'm still gonna be here keeping that same energy. So.
That's exactly what you need out of an agent. I know a lot of agents out there, they're just out there for a transaction, and I'd say that's probably a majority of agents out there. They're just out there for a transaction, and they'll probably help you along the way. They'll share a little bit about their experience, but as far as putting that much passion into each client, I mean, it's because you have a greater vision. You're trying to help an entire community build, their future, essentially, right? So I'm assuming that's kind of where that passion comes from.
Yeah, it does, especially like from my background where I come from. I'm the black sheep. I posted a quote the other day on Instagram that says the black sheep becomes the goat. And I'm like, I'm the black sheep of my family. Like, I'm the first one born here in this land, and I'm like, I'm the black sheep. So I'm like, I know what it's like, and I want everybody to evolve. So yeah, it is a greater thing, and that's it. And I do agree that a lot of agents get into the business because we have a lot of like glitz and glamour, like you see all these big commission checks and then, but I don't think people really understand like how much real work that this is, because it's commission, it's feast or famine. You eat what you kill. Like, that's it. And I think if you're operating in purpose, the money is going to come regardless. So if you stay with purpose and you're not searching for the dollar, you're just here as a servant leader, you're going to be okay. That's just the laws of the universe and the laws of success.
What do you think is the most effective way of getting your message out?
Just opening my mouth. Everywhere I'm always talking about real estate. My ears are trained for real estate. Like, I was at some store in Old Town at one time, and I heard somebody say real estate like across the. I was like, oh.
Ears perk up.
Yeah, I was like, excuse me. One time I was having breakfast with a friend in Bowie at I forgot what it's called, some breakfast place, and the table next to me, it was like 3 men in suits. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I heard them say something about real estate. And this is the thing, you have to be aggressive. And I just, thank you. Yeah, I just pulled out the chair with my little coffee cup, and I sat down and I said, excuse me, gentlemen, I heard you say something about real estate. And turns out it was one of the government officials for Bowie, and they were getting ready to kick off an initiative to help Bowie residents or Bowie government employees get 3% down payment assistance to buy houses. So I said, hey, I'm here, what you need? let me put the message out. So yeah, that's it. Stay on it. Stay on your feet. Always be closing.
That's amazing. Just simply talking to people. You know what's interesting? And this is just kind of a fun thought experiment. Say you just talk to 10 new people a day, right? Just open 10 new conversations with people you don't know. Over a week, you would have talked to, 70. Over the course of a month, you would have talked to what, like 240. Over the course of a year, it's over 2,000, and you want to ask yourself, out of 2,000 new people that you've talked to within a year, could possibly, maybe just one of them might be someone that can possibly, change your life, or, set your business onto a different course, or help you spread your message for a community, or, be that way you can impact other people's lives in your community, right? Just, would that be possible? Just one person out of that 2,000, right? I mean, I think that's probably like pretty likely, actually. So, as simple as that thought is, most people just aren't. Have you always been a really talkative, open person, or is this something you've developed, or?
Yeah, I can say that. I mean, I used to be on live television.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So there was that. And then I would say all the way dating back to high school. Well, a couple of different things. High school, I had my own little TV show every Friday.
Really?
It was called The Morning Zen. So
Okay.
I would be like, hey, and I would give everybody like some sort of motivational quote and be like, all right, have a great week, and just like hype everybody up. And even I've always been a reader. So I've always just been like open, and I moved around a lot when I was like in elementary school. So I constantly had to make new friends. And I'm just like, all right, screw it. Closed mouths don't get fed. I think in elementary school, I went to like 8 different elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
So I was the new kid a lot. And I'm like, I'm not going to be lonely. I'm just going to introduce myself to people. So I really just lost a long time ago feeling any kind of self-conscious or like insecure about meeting people. I'm like, they're just people. If they say no, you don't want to be my friend, I didn't lose anything. I'm back in the same place I was at before. So it didn't hurt my feelings. So that's, yeah, I guess I've always been like that.
Yeah, what's interesting? I actually think about this a lot. It's like certain people, we think certain people are quote unquote born with certain skill sets. Like for instance, you mentioned in elementary school, you had to transfer a lot, so you had to learn the skill of just talking to new people, and through that situation, you've essentially built up a skill set that most people probably will not build up their entire lifetime, right? In fact, they might have had a negative situation when they were small, and that kind of caused them to kind of pucker up or shelter themselves, and not expose themselves to the public. Do you think that's something people might be born with, or do you think it's just the repetition and skill set?
They're built with being like securing themselves to put themselves out there, or just skills in general.
Just being able to talk to people and just talk to new people without kind of being filtered, because you mentioned you're really authentic. Whatever's on your mind, you're just gonna go out and share it, right?
Yeah, like, all right.
That's awesome.
I would say I believe with a few principles.
Or let me rephrase that. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do that, but they're a little bit afraid to kind of step out of their comfort zone?
Be birthed by fire. So force yourself to be uncomfortable. First, make a decision. Do you love yourself? Because everything, I believe, fundamentally goes back into how you feel about yourself. Mm-hmm. Do you love yourself to let something that potentially is so minute stop you from your goal? Like if you have this vision of yourself and this goal, you're like, this is who I'm going to be, but these are the steps that I need to take in order to get to this destination. Are you going to really sabotage yourself by allowing something, to stop you? And do small steps. You don't need to just jump completely into the water. You can ease yourself. And as you overcome those small base points, you look back, you're like, all right, that was easy. And you keep growing, you keep evolving. I remember, when was it? What did I do by myself? I started pushing myself to go do things alone because I'm an only child, right? So I went to a Janet Jackson concert completely by myself and sat in the front row and like had the time of my life. I started doing road trips by myself. I started traveling domestically by myself. And then I really wanted to grow. So I went international by myself, and I felt uncomfortable traveling international. I'm like, I need somebody with me. But I built myself up to those different things and challenged myself. So I think doing that, forcing yourself to grow. Just do it. Yeah, just do it. Just feel it. Feel it. Like that discomfort is beauty. Like you're like diamonds are made from pressure.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think you'd be a really good coach. I mean, obviously you do that when you're serving a client, just any client that you're working with obviously is extremely lucky to have you as an agent.
You.
Yeah, just not as a real estate agent, but just someone who obviously you're a huge proponent of personal growth, and often we don't realize, but just coming across that one right person with the right message that really resonates with you can kind of just set you off on that alternative, better path.
I believe we all need one person in our life. My grandma was that for me, and she's gone to glory, but there's things that she used to tell me all the time when I was little that I hear now. And that, I think that's a huge factor as to like why I have this mentality. Because she used to tell me, she was like, somebody said no to you. You're just back where you were before. So ask the question. Yeah. Just like go.
Yeah, there's literally only upsides.
Yeah, changed when you get rejected. I have the same thing. Okay, great.
Yeah, only upsides.
You get rejected a lot. Sometimes clients don't want to work with you. Sometimes we lose the deal. You win some, you lose some. That's part of it. If anything, you find the silver lining, like it's a blessing, and that's energy. Instead of exhausting it someplace that you don't have to before, you can apply that energy towards more productivity and more things that are going to be fruitful.
100%. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Well, let me ask you, how can we help you with your mission here?
One, being able to share this message. So thank you for this platform. I guess that would be it. I share things on my social platforms all the time. So if anybody wants to follow me, everything's just my name, Lledon Stokes. And you'll be able to keep up with everything that I'm doing. I like to just put my message in my life and what I'm doing out there between home buying seminars, e-course, things with the nonprofit organization, all of it. Even, me cooking, I like to cook. So I put that out there too.
What's your specialty dish?
I love everything. So I'll make Middle Eastern food, Caribbean food, African food. So lately I've been making Nigerian jollof rice instead of beef, but with lamb. And then lately with seafood, I've been doing a lot of lobster and like flounder, like butter flounder and Oregon sole with like lemon zest and stuff and capers. I get a little fancy with it. So that would be lately, has been my little thing.
I'm actually not a huge fan of seafood, but what was the one you said earlier? Was it Jamaican? What was it called?
Nigerian jollof rice.
Jollof rice. Okay, I've had that. I think over at the Whole Foods in Silver Spring, I think there's a large community there. So the foods they serve, they cater towards the actual specific community of Whole Foods, which is actually kind of cool. And I think they were sampling that. They sampled that pretty often. Well, before COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of my most favorite Whole Foods because of that.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I like to cook too much, so I probably won't try it. But if it ever happens.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, how can I help you with your mission?
Do you want to buy a house?
Do I want to buy a house? Yeah, actually, I do. I'd like to find some sort of tear down or some sort of fixer upper. And I guess the way we can all benefit is maybe if you can find something like that, I can do the renovation and you can bring a client directly.
Well, there we go. I'm on a team. We do marketing. find the client, market it, the whole nine. We can do the acquisition and the sale.
Awesome.
Shop.
Shop. Love it. All right. So how can people reach out to you on social media? I know you mentioned you go by your name, Lledon Stokes, on everything. Is that literally everything, or what's like your most favorite platform?
Everything. You can put my name in on Google and everything will pop up. Lledon Stokes. I have
cool.
All of it.
What's cool is your name isn't like super common, right? So you can probably just use that as your username, and most likely it would be yours.
Yeah, that's all I do, and it's the same face. You'll see me smiling.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate you sharing this message. It's not just about real estate. It's about just, all becoming better people and serving the community and just not being a victim to anything. I know it's so easy to say, don't be a victim, but in some form or another, we're always victimizing ourselves in some form, right? And you may not even notice it, or you may notice it and you're kind of struggling with it, right? So I think this is a phenomenal message, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about that.
Thank you. I want to add to that because we do make it sound easy to be like, don't be a victim, and I want people to know you don't have to be hard on yourself. If you feel like you need to cry. It's okay to be weak, because once you overcome that weakness, it's your strength. So allow yourself to feel these things so that way you can come out and be on top. That's it. So yes, it's hard, but you need to have self-awareness and make a conscious decision that you're not going to allow yourself to be a victim, because you're our winner. I believe everyone has the capability to be great.
100%. Yeah, again, really appreciate that message.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. We can probably do a part 2 at some point, because I know you do a lot of stuff. We barely scratched the surface on the stuff that you're doing. We spent a lot of time talking about, self-empowerment, which is a huge, huge thing that, I'm into. So, we can obviously dive deeper into that or talk about some of the other things that you're involved in with the community.
I'm here for a great, enriching conversation. So
yeah, awesome. Well, hopefully this touches someone. I've had quite a few viewers on here. Got a lot of likes. I'm not just paying attention to the likes, but I know we're putting out a good message here. So I know we're doing a good thing. But really appreciate everyone, all the viewers, for watching. I know we're coming out with content every week, and we always have a different speaker, and everyone's always got a different message. Even though it's the vehicle is entrepreneurship or real estate, but I just think that's really just kind of the common thread, because everyone's got their own story, everyone's had their struggles, and oftentimes you would find parallels in someone else's struggle, and just one little thing that someone drops can just change someone's life. So that's why I enjoy doing this. So really appreciate all the viewers on here, and hopefully someone out here can really take this message and do something great. And definitely reach out to Lledon if you have someone who maybe in DC looking to purchase a house, or may not know how to purchase a house and kind of need to be educated, or need that encouragement that Lledon can offer.
I'm your cheerleader.
Personal cheerleader. I think that's a good deal. All right. Well, enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we'll see you guys again shortly.